Howdy, Beefalo Bart here, and welcome. Taking a break from working on some serious stuff, and I'm going to goof off a little bit. So let's go ahead and create a new level. And we'll start off with the usual get ready you, get ready you. Bring a geometry in here. Dump you down to 0, 0, and negative point, negative 5. I didn't say 250, I said negative 5. And we'll make you 2000 by 2000 by 10. Good enough. Okay, so this is kind of a rehash moment on the thriller challenge stuff. This time I'm going to retarget it to some City Studio assets. Game mode override, third person, and yep, we're good to go. So now if I hit play, first thing I'm going to do is go into my player base, and I'm going to go ahead and event begin play, because it will annoy me until I do this. We want to set input to game mode only, and we want to get player controller and set show mouse cursor to false. No, go to hell. Get up there now. Okay, so you have just a blank map, nothing on it, regular UE4 character. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly retarget, and let's go to character, make a mesh folder so that I have a blank mesh area. I'm going to use the Fantasy Rivals, and there is one minor thing you have to do on the Fantasy Rivals. If you're going to use the big guys, for some reason they have to be retargeted separately. So I'm going to take the regular character skeleton, left click, drag that over here to my, come you asshole, scroll up, my mesh folder, copy here, and we're going to rename this to sk underscore Polygon S for small. Okay, and next thing I need to do is confirm it is on humanoid rig. That's good. So the next thing I want to do is go to my characters again, and I'm going to grab the characters I'm going to use, and it's going to be Ancient Warrior through this guy. You know what? I don't really want to use these. Yeah, I'm actually going to delete that, and I'm going to dump the Fantasy Rivals, and I'm actually going to use a different asset pack. I'm actually going to go ahead and use the Dungeons pack, mostly because I want. No, that was a Fantasy Rivals. Let me use the Fantasy Characters pack. I just want some regular humans, but I want a skeleton as well. Come on, hurry up and delete. Well, I can still put that in here. Yes, I told you to delete. That means delete, as in go the hell away. Yeah, I was thinking in my mind using the fantasy characters, and I put the rivals in instead. They're right next to each other, so. Alright, compiling shaders. Let's go ahead and fantasy rivals, get rid of you. And it's still showing up, so yeah, I'm dropping frames because I'm doing a lot of stuff with the that's requiring hard drive use right now, copying and deleting files and that kind of stuff. It'll clear up. So I've gotten rid of that folder, so it's gone, but it's still showing up here. There's an unfortunate side effect of actually deleting things inside the game instead. So, alright, so characters. And there's no skeleton on this one. I should just use the dungeon one. I know, I can't make up my mind what the hell I'm doing. So, let's go ahead and dump those out and do this one more time. So, I wanted a skeleton, and skeletons in only a couple. I mean, I could use pirates. I know there's a skeleton in there. Actually, let me go ahead and just use the pirates. Okay, that is deleted. Get rid of the folder. Thank you. Alright, let's try this one more time. I promise this is the last time. Dungeons or pirates? Dungeons or pirates? I don't know. Screw it. All I really wanted was a skeleton. So let's go with Polygon Dungeons. So when you have all of these asset packs, it can actually be a challenge to figure out which one you're wanting to do. Alright, so frames will stabilize here in just a minute. So, alright, so here we go. Back to the simple part here of getting my character. We only have one now. See, there's Ghost in this one as well, so I'm glad I actually chose this one. So let's grab this guy, copy it to the mesh folder, and I'm going to go ahead and hit F2, change this to SK underscore Polygon. And then I know that it is, but let's make sure that it's got humanoid rig selected, and we're good. We're going to go to our characters again, and I'm going to grab all of the skeletal meshes. Tell this is one of their earlier packs, because there's each one of these characters has their own physics asset with them. So I'm going to right click, assign skeleton, select my polygon skeleton for each one of them, and then we'll get on to the rest of the retargeting here, the easy part. So one of the things you have to know when you're retargeting animations is the majority of the world utilizes a T-pose, but the Unreal Engine skeleton is in a Y-pose. It could be called something else, whatever. It looks like a Y, so you know what? I'm calling it a Y pose. Just about done. You're going to do this once for each of those meshes. So now let's go ahead and do save all. Go back into our polygon skeleton, and let's go maps folder, And this is our test map. Now, once we're back in here again, we can go ahead and just click on Apply to Asset, so that we now have a mesh assigned to our skeleton. Hit Save, and now we can skip over to the mannequin folder. This is where we start our actual retargeting. And the first thing we have to do is make sure that our UE4 mannequin is set to select rig of humanoid rig. And since he's in a Y pose and we need him in a T pose, I'm going to grab his upper arm and I'm going to rotate it up by 50, lower arm down 10, and back 20. Take the hand and up 10. So again, upper arm up 50, lower arm back 20, and down 10, and hand up 1. Then we want to select Modify Pose, use current pose, and save. So now we are all set and ready to rock. We can do a save all again. Now we can go to our animation folder, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create in my animations folder. We already got one called Thriller. I'm going to make another one called Unarmed, which is my standard. So when we're using the regular third-person animation blueprint, all we have to do is select that blueprint and the animation blueprint, and we're going to retarget that. Select our polygon skeleton. See, they're both in a T-pose. I'm going to replace the third-person underscore with unarmed underscore. I'm going to hit change, go to the folder where I want this one to go to, and select OK, and then retarget. Done. We now have that completely retargeted. Save all, go to our character blueprint, and if we look at our viewport, select our mesh. Let's change to a tormented soul, and change our animation class to unarmed. Compile and save. I'm not going to worry about changing the capsule component. So now if we hit play, we are the tormented soul. We can move around, everything is lovely. So for the thriller challenge stuff, what we're going to need to do here is, first off, we need to retarget those animations. So I've just thrown them into a temporary folder, and right there. So I have all 5 parts right there. Can select all of them, right click. Come on, quit acting like a tard. Retarget animation assets. Not worried about changing anything in the name, but I will change the location. Animations, thriller, okay, and looks good. And retarget. It'll take just a moment here. Although it appears like it's not doing anything, but it is. Way to tell is if you left click and try to drag the window and it doesn't move, that means it's doing something. Even if it's wrong, it's doing something. And you could have retargeted each one of them separately, but I'm going to go ahead and retarget them all at one time. And you'll want to go ahead and, whenever it gets done, if it ever gets done here, thank you, we can go to that folder and let's take a look at it. There's the idle animation for the thriller. That's fine. Look at part 1. Look at the arm positions and stuff like that, see if there's any unnecessary movements or whatever. But everything looks pretty good because of the way we retargeted the arms. The downside to these animations are that I didn't make them. These are from Mixamo. that were retargeted to the UE4 mannequin, and now they're retargeted to the Cinti Studios mannequin. However, here's the problem. And I don't know if you just saw that. I cut it off too quickly. So I'm going to save all. And I'm going to drag in one of the animations here, the Thriller Part 1. I'm just dragging in the animation. And now if we come over here and look at it, he'll do the animation, go through. So we didn't give it an actual animation. Now see he's hovering above the ground. We'll have to fix that as well. But we'll worry about that when we actually make the blueprint. Since the animation is broken up into 4 parts, 5 actually, if you take into account the idle animation. So you see what happened there was when he finished up his animation, he was right here. But since his start point and end point was 2 different locations, that becomes a problem. So you can see about where he is now, and what we could do is go ahead and create a character. Let's go ahead and delete the animation off there. Go into our characters and make a new folder called NPC. Since these guys are not really doing any movement whatsoever, we may be able to get away with just doing a actor blueprint instead of a character blueprint. So I'm going to go ahead and add in a component of a skeletal mesh. Let's pick out one that we like. We don't need the mannequin folder anymore. So of these characters, well, for now it doesn't really matter. We can keep our little ogre dude here, our goblin male. So I'm just going to select him there and I'm add a component, skeletal mesh, and there. So he's stuck in a T-pose, but we can actually give him animation class of, we don't actually have one for him. We don't have an animation blueprint. So if we just try to drag him into the map now, he is, we're going to put him in here and we're going to change his location to 0, 0, 0. We're going to make sure that our floor is at the correct location, -5, like I told it to be. So now his feet are going to be on the ground. So if we hit play, he has no animation whatsoever. He has no animation blueprint. So we can create an animation blueprint. So go to animation, animation blueprint. Select our Polygon Dungeon and call this Thriller. Now, we don't have a blend space for him or anything right now. So let's actually go ahead and create an animation. Blend space 1D for our polygon skeleton. So let's go ahead and get these correct names here. Let's close our animation blueprint. We want to rename that to Thriller_ABP for animation blueprint. And our Thriller blend space. We need to make sure that we're in the correct folder here. Game, characters, animations, Thriller. So now he has nothing. He's doing nothing at all. But he's in that animation. That's going to be good enough for us to get started right now. So let's actually go back into our Thriller animation blueprint. We want our anim graph. From here, we just want to add in Thriller blend space. And actually, we can do this different here. Let's go in here and add new state machine. And inside here, we'll just create a new state, call it idle, go into it, and then put our thriller blend space. A lot of steps in here just to get them to do that. So now we can go back in here and find thriller animation blueprint, and no matter what, he's just going to stand there and do that animation, which is nothing. So that's good for right now. So having the floor here without any kind of any materials on it whatsoever is going to be a way for me to you know, see a measurement wise of where he's going to go. So on event begin play, we want to start off with, and if you think about it, the song is going to have a long period of time in the beginning of the song where he's doing nothing but doing the idle. So we're just going to do a delay to start off with. You set that delay to whatever it is you want. I'm going to set a 3-second delay just because I don't have the music in here, and I'm not going to wait that long. Another thing I'm going to do really quickly, go to editor preferences. I'm going to go to loading and saving. Make sure autosave is turned off because I hate autosave. I save my stuff frequently. So now we can play the animation. It's going to automatically know we mean the mesh. Alright, so it's not looping. We don't want it to loop. We want it to play the animation, which is going to be, if we don't know which one's which because we didn't change the name, then we can select it here, thriller part 1, and then hit this arrow right here, and it's going to play that first part. So we want it to actually break. Whenever he gets done doing this animation, we want it to break. We set him at 0, 0, 0 for a starting location, so whenever he stops, we'll see where he stops. We don't want him to go back to idling, we want him to just break. So when he gets done with that animation right there, what happens, he will try to start the next animation sequence, which will then teleport him back to 0, 0, 0 location where he started from. So if we look where his location is right now, I'm actually going to stand on this line. He is right there at halfway between. So if we take and place a basic cube, and let's resize this to 0.1, and I want this about, so we get this little cube here, and what I'm going to do is we know that it was halfway in between, so we'll play it again and we'll let him do his thing, and if he's standing directly on that spot, we know that that's where his animation ended. Because the problem that we're going to run into here is with an animation that ends at a different location from where it's going to start the next part of the animation, then we need to be able to set actor location. We need to teleport him to that end location. Doesn't make any sense, but whenever we do this, we want him to teleport back to this location. So you can see that's perfectly right there between his feet, and it should be the 0, 0, 0 location for his new coordinates. So now we can just grab that, and we can see that it's 0, 350, 0. So we need to set actor location. Now, you could always try to come up with some fancy way of doing this, and let's actually do that. Let's add a variable called location, and let's change that over to a vector. Let's compile and save it. Now I'm going to get actor location. So come on, get actor location. Should stay to self. And then I want to, we'll try it like this. I'm going to have to make some changes to it, but because the way that the animations run, and just to show you what I'm talking about, I'm going to disconnect that, and I'm actually going to go ahead and we need to know that playing Thriller Part 1 takes exactly 29.8 is what? 4 3s and a 4, 29, 8. So we need to add in a delay and make that delay exactly the length. What, 29.8 4, and then we want to play another animation. And if we just let it immediately start playing it, you'll see what's going to happen here. So let's grab that animation, which is Thriller Part 2, and tack it in there, compile, save, and run. So he's going to pause this 3 seconds, and he's actually going to go ahead and start doing his Thriller Dance Part 1. When he gets to the end of Part 1, he's going to teleport back to 000 and start the new animation. We're trying to make do with somebody else's broken animation system. So he's getting ready to finish up now, and bang. See, he teleports right back to that previous location. So you don't want him to do that. You want to fix that so that at the end of that location, or that section there, let's go ahead and add in the set actor location here. Let's see if it's smart enough to grab the location now and set the new location. So let's see what happens now, and we'll have to sit here and wait for him to do the animation. Probably need to make an adjustment to his height, because you can see he's hovering just a half inch above the ground. So when he gets done with that, he's going to hopefully stay in the correct location, because technically he's doing his animation from a 000 location. And no, that didn't work. So now what we're gonna have to do is set a manual location for right now. What we'll have to do is probably create a delay in there, and then, well, we've already got a major delay, but we want to just teleport it to that location. But what happens now if we put in 10 different guys to do this animation? They're all going to try to go to this location right here. So in theory, you could probably just say add new location. You can make a transform and then add 350 to it. So if you did that, then that would work. So now he'll do his lovely little dance, and it will teleport him to the location of that little white puck on the ground before he starts the new animation. So this is the problem that you run into when you're dealing with somebody else's animations. You're trying to make them all work. So as soon as he gets done doing part 1 here, it should teleport him to that white hockey puck. But you see, he teleported way up here and then teleported all the way back. So it's not a smooth transition. So That was all part of the challenge, is coming up a way of dealing with these animations and making them work correctly with whatever characters you want to use. So you can see what we're doing here is we're just teleporting him to that location. We don't want to do that. We want to actually do an AI move to, or we want to do something to actually break that. So if you break transform, actually I don't want to break transform. The new location needs to be let's see here. We want to get location early on. So let's get actor location. And from here, we need to go ahead and set the location. And we probably need to give it a better name now. So let's change that to start location. So now what we're doing is when we first begin play, we're going to get our start location. And then what we'll do here is we'll get reference to that. And we want to do a vector plus vector. And what we're doing is a plus 350. And moving the location up by 350 in the y-axis. So what happens now? It's now remembered his location. And it should remember that location so that whenever he finishes animation 1, it's going to then add 350 to that location. But will it blink again? Probably so. Yep, there's a quick blink. Now, if you can't actually break, yourself from fixing that, and you can't come up with a good solution to that, how could you camouflage that? So we know he ended there, and it's a plus 300 that time. So we can look about where he stopped in between his legs is roughly halfway in between here. So let's actually Control C, Control V. It was approximately right there. So if you look, that's 100, 200, 300. So that's a plus 300. So at this point, instead of it being 350, it's 300. So now we're going to have to do the same crapola again. And we have just set the actor location to this. And let's get actor location. And set actor location. It's really redundant. And then again, after we get done with this, we need to do the same thing that we did here. Control C and Control V. So we're doing exactly the same. In fact, we can actually break that and go to here, plus 300. And set the start location. Absolutely a pain in the butt. No. And then we would need a delay here. Because we're starting the animation here. The animation 2 is going to take 18.8. Then we're going to do that for our location thing again. And then we need to play another animation. This will be number 3. You'll end up having to do this again. You could also set this up as an animation montage, and it'd probably work a little bit better. But I suck at doing animation montages. So, the whole point of the thriller challenge was to get people into this, put the song in here, try to get it to sync with the music, and then expand upon it, add whatever you wanted to, and just make it however you wanted. For this case, I'm actually making it as a little simple walkthrough. Now, since we're having a problem with it flashing, and whenever it ends this animation, it wants to teleport. See that flash, and then it starts this animation, and he's going to move forward. He's going to finish this animation here from this location, and then we wanted to set this as his new start location, so that when he starts this animation, he starts from here instead of back at the other white dot. See? He started back at that other white dot. And did that wrong. Need to set actor location. And you let me do it, man. It's all your fault. To this location. So we're going to just basically keep repeating that over and over and over just to get all these parts of this animation going. So that should take care of it to where it's going back and forth. So how could you camouflage that from being a problem? So you don't actually see that little teleport movement. Alright, so you're going to finish this one, and then he'll have a quick teleport, a flash teleport. It's a blank, it's a millisecond. Bang, there. It's not as evident, but it's visible, and it would bug me to no end. So now whenever he gets done with this animation, which is only, what, 18 seconds, he should start the next animation from right there at that white dot. And he didn't. You are an asshole. Okay, now we need to get actor location. But see, technically we're setting the new location to that. that's not going to work. So, get back to that stuff here in just a minute. He starts animation 1, does his thing, and when he gets there, we want to take this, and we actually want to, let's go ahead and make that second location. Well, no, we can still use this. We will set it now with this same data right there. Now that we've set that location, now we can drag it down to here and then add 300 to it, and then let that be the new location. So in theory, we wanted to set that location as his new location every single solitary frickin' time. So the way you could do some camouflaging of that, you can actually use a flash or smoke or something to obscure vision so that it's not as visible. Because if you're trying to make a music video based off a thriller, it's going to be a dark graveyard scene, that kind of stuff. So, will you work this time? And it sucks is you have to sit there is your flash, and go through this every freaking time. We want him to end this animation where he's standing right now, and then start the new animation from that location. The reason why we're going through all this hardship is because, there we go, when we add in a second or a third or a fourth, so let's take this guy and Control C, Control V, and add another one in here, and let's put him 200 away, and we'll add another one over here, we'll put him there. So now if you do it, they're going to be synchronized and doing the same exact thing. So technically speaking, whenever they finish that first animation, they're not all going to try to go right here. They're going to go to a plus 350 on the first one, a plus 300 on the second one, and they'll go to the correct locations where they need to be. So you can put these guys all over the map and they're going to work correctly. Once you go through the hardship one time of setting up this system, it should work all the way. So you see, they transition to animation 2. They're good to go. When they finish this animation, they'll all three sync together and go right into the next animation. So you can see that little teleport flash will probably not happen if you are using an animation montage. Again, all I need to do is actually spend about an hour or two on myself of actually trying to do and learn animation montages better. They make the world go round, I promise. They're worth learning. I haven't taken the time to learn. Now look at this crap. They finished that animation and look where they are. They've gone backward from this location by 1, 2, 3, 50. So now we're doing this, the same basic thing right here. We're going to have to do a negative 350 here. It's like we did 350 on this one. So let's do vector minus vector. Right there. So we need to get that location, which is now the start location. We're getting this, and then we're going to 350, And then we had to run the delay from Thriller 3, which is 25. Point what? And I forgot. 25.5. That was 668, right? You could probably even do the same thing with an animation blueprint and tell it to do that as well. So we need to set actor location. Let's see. So yeah, let's set actor location to this location. And we need to set start location to that. And then we want to play Thriller Part 4. We need to make sure that we're getting it from our Goblin Mail. Alright, so if you were to do this in animation blueprint, then you can actually go into it, go into the event graph, and event blueprint update animation, try get pawn owner. You would just set up everything off of this to set a variable like part 1 complete, part 2 complete, or song start, then whatever. You put all that same basic information in here with a series of blueprints, and you can set it up that way. You could also set up a montage and add in multiple animations into the montage. So it's whenever you tell it to perform that action, then it will just start doing those animations in sequence. So in theory now, that should have these guys fixed. Run through parts 1, 2, 3, and 4 from the idle. You should teleport to the correct locations. And that's only a small portion of the song, so you could actually rewind or basically restart part 2 or part 3, or just keep re-looping them over and over. Or you can create your own animation sequences. So since we're having these guys do from that location, we'll let them run through, make sure that last one starts in the correct location, and then throw some effects in or whatever just to kind of camouflage things. A little awkward without music. So he'll do his little thingy. He'll march back this way. Should stop about right here and then start the next one. There we go. And that's it. So other things like effects. What effects do we have here? Not much to work with here. Got some floors. Well, effects wise, I would say if you don't have any with the particle effects, there we go. Let's see here. dust large. We get some dust particles going with electricity. Not what we need. Candle flame. Yeah, I would say probably play around with what you got. If you need other things, you could always grab them from so definitely want to make it dark as well. Grab the light source and rotate it. See, we got stars, but we still got a sun here. Let's see, what was the there was actually a setting where you could actually get it to recalculate the lighting once you've done that. Let's see here. Okay, if you don't actually do this pretty regular, you forget how to do things. Let's see here. Let's go back to my light source. You don't want to do that. Well, I'm going to leave it the way it is for right now, and then set up your particle effects, set up your other stuff, build your scene around it. Let's see. Bones. Now think about it is what is this? These three guys here. Let's get rid of our cubes. We don't need those anymore. And I'm going to get rid of the dust and the glow. Now, it won't matter where we have these guys. In theory, they're done. So if I grab these three guys, copy and paste, edit in more, of course, that's interfering with our player start. I probably wouldn't have a character or a player start in the thing. I'm just doing it so I can walk around it. And let's grab all of them. Control C, Control V. And instead of being directly in line with each other, do it like so. Delete him. So that was the point, was basically everybody was going to do this challenge, start with it and come up with their own scenes, come up with their own stuff, provided provided the animations, but they all came from Mixamo, and all I did was I retargeted them to work with UE4 Mannequin Skeleton, and in this instance right here, I retargeted them to actually be with the Cindy Studios assets. We don't want them all to be the same goblin dude. I'm going to change that, and I'm going to let you guys also do your own thing. Let's come up with some other characters to work with here. We have 2 ghosts. We got a female goblin. We can use the Tormentor. We got all kind of different skeletal soldiers. We got all kind of different ones here, but I'm just going to do NPC, go back into our test one. So this is on our event begin play. So I'm going to go ahead and drag it off from there. I'm going to highlight all that stuff right there. And I'm going to right click and I'm going to collapse nodes. I'm going to call that the dance. You can go the hell away. Move that back down to there so I can scroll back in, go into it, go to the end, make sure I drag off from there to the output, compile, save, and go back to EventGraph there. And I'm actually going to go ahead and set a sequence node in anyway. So on begin play, we want to dance, lovely. But then we also want to go ahead and I'm going to create a custom event. And call this my mesh mixer. So whatever we run this, and I can hit compile and save. And from here, type in mesh mixer and put that custom event in. So what we're going to do here is we're going to get a reference to this. Rename this my skeletal mesh, or our, actually, let's call it our characters mesh. So now I want to get a reference to my characters mesh because we're going to need it. And what we're going to do here is start off with a branch node. Now, what we're going to do is, yeah, we do need a branch. We want to move you out of the way. Random, integer, and range. You can leave it at 0 and go to 6, and that would be 7 options. But for simple-minded people like myself, I'm going to go from 1 to 5. And then we'll do from here, equal, is it equal to 1? Drag that off. So if it's equal to 1, then we need to set skeletal mesh, and we will actually change the mesh here in a moment. So what we need to do here is we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So just want to connect the top node across here. And this is going to get us a randomizer for picking a random 1 through 5. So we can change this to 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we're also going to need more branch nodes. So 2, 3, 4, and 5. Just going to shove those out of the way. At this point, we want to go from the faults to here, and then we're going to need more of these. So it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm just going to drag these back over here because we need to make sure that they're all connected to the target on this. And then we can drag them back away and bring them in as we need to. Make a mess short term, but it'll clean itself up as we go. So now bring that off of the true. If it's equal to 2, then we do that. Come off of the false node. Is it equal to 3? True, then we'll set it to that skeletal mesh. And I'm going to just bunch these guys up so it looks better. Sure, we'll line that off there. So that's how that works. Just you can do this as many times as you want to get as many options as you want for setting the skeletal mesh at the beginning. Bring you up here. You get connected. False node to here, go to there, and there we go. Asshole link up. Thank you. So now what we need to do is just tell this one, if it's equal to 1, then let's use ghost 1. Equal to 2, ghost 2. 3 would be goblin female. 4 would be goblin male, and this one would be let's see, tormented soul. Lovely. Compile and save. So now we have play, and it's just going to randomly mix them up for us. The more you add in there, the more variety you're going to potentially get. But now every time you do this, it's going to be randomly picked between them. So you got female ghost, male goblin, female goblin, male goblin. So it's just purely random. So if I start it back up again, even though they all look like this to begin with, whenever I hit play, it's going to randomly pick. Alright, that's more than enough to get you guys rolling. So if you're still wanting to do the thriller challenge, then that's the basics. Retargeting is the easy part. Coordinating the movements, adding in your effects, setting up your map to do whatever. You see, since I set this up as a actor and not as a character, these guys have no collision. They don't really need a collision. You're not actually going to be walking around on the map. So now it doesn't matter where you place these guys. So if I hit escape, do save all, go to the dungeon map. No, I'm not going to go to dungeon map. That'll take a couple minutes for compiling shaders. But if I go to lobby map, where there's nothing in there, all I have to do now is just grab my test guy, throw him in there, and it works. So if you want to set them up randomly, they don't have to be perfectly placed. They could be wherever you want them to go, and it's going to work. Alright, good luck with it. You and you get off my map. Alright, save all, close you. Save all is good, and done. Alright guys, thanks for watching, good luck with it.